since middle school I'd had issues with like body image, and they kind of like really came to a head at the beginning of junior year. And so I was having issues with like my eating habits, and it got to the point where I felt like I needed help, but I wasn't sure if my problems were like big enough to merit actually getting help. I was worried that I'd like seem stupid if I walked into a therapist's office and like talked to them about my problems, and they were like, I don't know. I was, in my mentality was, there are people with bigger issues, like I don't need this, like I'm fine, I can deal with my own stuff. But I mean, that isn't the reality. Everyone's problems have merit, you know. Everyone's experiences are valid. And so I talked to my mom about like maybe getting help. First of all, that was like kind of a big thing because I didn't really want to talk to my mom about that because it was a very sensitive topic. I didn't want to like disappoint her in some way. I didn't want to be like, you know, I'm having problems, like I don't want to burden you. But I ended up talking to her, and after a while I started meeting with a therapist regularly, and that was incredibly helpful. And it gave me like the tools to deal with my own mental health issues and break myself out of like those repetitive cycles that were damaging to me. And that helped a lot. And so senior year of high school, I was able to really like, I didn't have as much time to like go see the therapist regularly. I didn't really have like an hour to take out of my Monday. But by that point, I felt like I was solid enough in my regulation of my mental health that I could kind of stand on my own. And so I wasn't like having any panic attacks. I had, you know, regularized my eating habits. But coming to Columbia and like coming to a new environment where I didn't have those like coping mechanisms necessarily. I didn't have that support system that I'd had at home. It was initially like kind of a big shock. There was also the anxiety that came with like being a queer person and coming to a new environment where I have to like kind of introduce my queerness to people and explain that. And so I had some coping mechanisms for that. I just like go really hard with like being gay. I was like, hi, what's up? So I like didn't actually have to, you know, be like, hello, I'm a queer person. But there was anxiety with that. I had a lot of anxiety about like meal plans and stuff. It was a lot to be thinking about how much I should be eating and when I should be eating, and like how much I can eat, because with my meal plan it's the like 15 meals one, and so like during the second week like I was like dangerously close to being low on swipes, and so like the week after that I was like really careful to like not eat as much or as often as I was the previous week, and so that kind of spiraled a little bit, and like I was, you know, only eating like one meal a day or less. And I also was like having like panic episodes. I was like sitting in Avery once, and I just like felt a panic attack coming on, and I like dissociated, and I like did not know what to do, and I just felt like I couldn't trust anyone, and like I don't know, it was scary. I don't go to Avery anymore. But that worried me because it felt like I was relapsing on all of my like mental health issues that I had had previously. And so it got to the, like, I kept having more panic attacks for seemingly no reason, and I would like try to think of like what could have like triggered this, where is this coming from, and I really couldn't think of any reason. And it got to the point where I was like talking to my mom again. I was like, maybe I should see, you know, like psychological services. And I went on like the CPS website, like on my computer in the library, and then I just felt really uncomfortable about that because it was just so visible, like me like typing in like, you know, and looking at like the therapists that were available. And so I like closed the webpage and didn't look at it again, like even once I was back in my room, just because I like suddenly felt the stigma that was with that. And then I had talked to some people, and they had said that, you know, maybe it wasn't the most helpful thing. I talked to my brother, he doesn't go here, but he was like, in my experience, like university, like psychological services aren't always the best, and sometimes it's better to just get a therapist outside of school. But I didn't necessarily know how to go about doing that. I didn't know how like healthcare stuff worked into like seeing a therapist and stuff, so I kind of just backed off and I didn't do that. And what's helped me a lot is like really getting back into dance, because I didn't dance all summer, and in high school I had time like by myself in the studio where I could just improv and just dance by myself for a while, and that was like incredibly grounding and like one of my favorite things to do. But I don't necessarily have that here, and so that's like sometimes I still find myself getting kind of anxious and like thinking like, oh, I need to like go into the studio, but I like don't know how to sign up for like I don't know how that works. I don't know if that's allowed. So sometimes I just like dance alone in my room and like knock over a lamp. But that's been incredibly helpful.